to this week's Movie Math, which throughout the month of September has been brought to you by lynda.com, your online business school for entertainment and beyond. But this weekend at the box office, it felt almost like summer again, with a movie and a movie star performing as they should. Sony played it awfully close to the vest with Hotel Transylvania 2, barring reviews from running until the night before it hit theaters and not offering any Thursday night shows. And those efforts to head bad word of mouth off at the pass seem to have worked. It's the same strategy Sony used for The Perfect Guy earlier this month, which also opened at #1, and Sony's success might encourage other studios to try and wrestle a movie's image away from the internet. See, as I reported at the end of the summer, the movie studios were awfully upset that the internet had almost cursed films like Pixels and Fantastic Four, painting them in such a bad light that mainstream moviegoers took that bad buzz at face value. Sony's new strategy gives those mainstream moviegoers who are computer casual the chance to see a movie before the internet can cast it in a bad light. And let's be honest, many mainstream moviegoers would argue that after having actually seen both pictures, that neither Pixels nor Fantastic Four are as toxic as the internet made them out to be. And speaking of Adam Sandler, this is a much better stage for his upcoming Netflix films than Pixels. This is the second biggest opening of his career behind 2005's The Longest Yard, and it's the biggest opening yet for Sony Animation. This debut easily outpaces recent offerings from Blue Sky Studios and even DreamWorks Animation, putting Sony Animation right on the heels of Disney and Paramount Animation. Pixar, Illumination Entertainment, and Warner Brothers still have a comfortable lead. But what's really interesting is that the audience for Hotel Transylvania 2 was evenly split between parents, kids, and general moviegoers, proving that animation can no longer be dismissed as purely family fare. Previously, Sony Animation's biggest opening was the first Hotel Transylvania, so this boffa open for the sequel pretty much guarantees the third film. Whether or not Genndy Tartakovsky sticks around remains to be seen, though, as he didn't even really want to make this sequel and only agreed once his Popeye flick failed to gain any traction. As we consider who will replace him, are animation directors on track to become as recognizable to audiences as live-action directors? Quick! How many animation directors can you name? So I came up with Genndy Tartakovsky, the Lego Movie's Phil Lord and Chris Miller, Frozen's Jennifer Lee, the Kung Fu Panda trilogy's Jennifer Yu, and DreamWorks Animation's Chris Sanders and Dean Dubois. And of course there's the Pixar heavyweights, John Lasseter, Andrew Stanton, Brad Bird, and Pete Docter, the only real animation rock stars right now. Other animation directors who you should know, but nobody could blame you if you don't know, are Carlos Saldana of the Rio movies and Pierre Confat of the Despicable Me movies, who also voices the Minions. And by the way, how ashamed should Disney be that they've done nothing to promote their directors, instead putting the spotlight on their animators and voice talent for decades? Could it be that giving the overall credit to Walt himself is so ingrained in company policy that they can't shift gears after his passing? Anyway, back to the box office, where clearly a 6-year break hasn't hurt Nancy Meyers. The writer-director's last movie was It's Complicated back in 2009, and while The Intern couldn't quite match that film's debut, it did come awfully close, and gave Meyers her third biggest opening of all time. The only hiccup is that there's plenty of adult-friendly content coming down the line, starting with The Martian this very weekend, so it looks like The Intern will really have to wait to shine until it reaches streaming and on demand. The Intern also looks good on Anne Hathaway and Robert De Niro's box office resumes, which could both use the boost, as well as more films where they star and are the main draw. As for the weekend's other new release, well, at least the Green Inferno didn't embarrass itself. Opening just semi-wide, it did manage to crack the top 10 and was yet another reminder that it's a real roller coaster ride being Jason Blum. One week you've got a hit, another you're barely holding on. But speaking of Jason Blum, the Green Inferno was released by his new distribution company, BH Tilt, in partnership with something called High Top Releasing. But hey, you gotta at least give it up to Blum for getting Eli Roth's Cannibal flick, which has been sitting on the shelf for 2 years, onto 1,500 plus screens, no matter how he had to do it. As for the rest of the top 10, while Black Mass had been besting the Scorch Trials for most of the week, over the weekend the Maze Runner sequel managed to drop only to number 3, while Black Mass sunk to number 5. Still, neither movie is really impressing Hollywood insiders, and neither is Everest, which went wide this weekend yet only managed to move up 1 spot to number 4. But Sicario continued to impress, adding just about 50 theaters and jumping into the top 10 while still playing in very limited release. Elsewhere in the specialty market, while 99 Homes didn't really turn any heads, it's still a vast improvement over the debut of Ramin Bahrani's last film, At Any Price. So if he can just keep moving forward, although, is he improving fast enough for his investors? At Any Price failed to get any real awards nominations, and things don't look too good for 99 Homes either on that front. Finally, another whitewashed movie, Stonewall, was obliterated by angry moviegoers. How many more movies have to die before Hollywood gets it? Now, before we get to next week's movies, I'd like to just take a moment to say it's been awesome to have Lynda.com as our sponsor here on Movie Math throughout September. I hope you've taken advantage of their special offer to Movie Math viewers for a free 10-day trial, giving you unlimited access to over 100,000 courses and tutorials taught by experts. If you haven't, then be sure to click on the link in the video description to go to lynda.com/moviemath to sign up. As for this coming weekend, Matt Damon is poised to have the biggest opening of his career outside of the Bourne franchise with The Martian, while Sicario hopes to make more box office headlines as it finally goes wide. Plus, if you haven't seen Everest on IMAX, you better do so before this Tuesday night when The Walk takes over those screens. And that's the weekend box office. I'm Grace Randolph, and we just did some movie math. As always, thanks for watching. And I hope you'll go beyond the trailer for these other top movies.